Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of the Game and Watch podcast. I am your host today. I am Finest Dabs, Our View Gaming, but more importantly, I have my guest, my co-host, Max from the Loading Bar podcast. How are you today, sir?
Good. Good morning, America from Canada. I hope you're all doing well.
Oh, everyone here is doing flipping phenomenal because everyone's asleep. I am the only person in America that's up right now filming a podcast. And yeah, thank you for joining me. I cannot thank you enough.
Anytime.
And actually, a funny enough note, besides the US, can you guess the second country to watch us the most?
The second country to watch you guys the most.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go and say it's something completely out there. Not even not North America. I'm gonna say Egypt.
Ooh, that is a pretty good one. I like that. That is out of the box. Well, it is closer than if you would have chose something over here. It is South Korea.
South Korea. Oh,
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah. So that was I was fascinated by that when I found that. I was like, right, South Koreans representing. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Well, beyond the fun fact today, I got the music in the background. I hope it's not too loud. I hope you can hear me just fine. I'll cut that off in a couple seconds, but it's keeping me going. It's something to jive to this morning. Let's see. So let's get all the nitty gritty out of the way. So thank you all for watching and listening to the Game and Watch podcast. For those that are watching, you can listen to us on the go on all listening platforms, whether it be like iHeartRadio or Apple Music. You can find us. We're out there, and we're in a ton of others too. I can't even list them all. Other than that, if you want to write in Monday through Friday, Saturday through Sunday, January through December, you can reach us at Game and Watch Podcast at gmail.com. That's GAMENWATCH podcast at gmail.com. If you cannot tell, I am running on fumes, but we're still going to keep this podcast as lit as possible. Let's see. And other than that, if you want to reach us during this episode, if you are up at 6 a.m, kudos to you. You're a beast yourself. If you are in another country and you are up, it's probably midday for you. And just thank you all for watching. And you can write into the episode, and at the end of the show, we will read any comments that are relevant to what we are speaking about, and we'll save that for the end. But other than that, Max, how's it going, man? How have you been since last, or was it 2 weeks ago that I saw you last? Yeah.
Lots kind of happening in my personal life.
Give us a quick dish. Yeah.
I finished my application for grad school, and that's sent off. So I'm very happy to get that done. But now comes the waiting game where you can't do anything, and your fate is in the hands of somebody else. So I've traded one anxiety for the other, but you know what? I'm happy about it. Really happy about it.
I think you chose the better anxiety for sure.
Yeah, exactly. They say on the application, you have until January 15th to get it in. And then you start the application and it tells you have until October 24th. I'm like, what are these? Yeah. What is this?
Yeah, they're definitely checking to see if you're paying attention. And that's like the first test. It's like, oh, you want to get accepted to grad school? Can you read instructions? All of them.
The first hurdle is over. Podcast news. I have, if you haven't checked it out yet, I've got 2 new episodes. One on the history of the Xbox 360 and the history of the Mojito, which I'm very proud of. And one very special episode with this guy over here, Finest Dabs. That was a lot of fun to make. And I hope you guys definitely go check that out and stay tuned because I'm in the process of a Halloween special. So look forward to
Ooh,
that.
I love it. A lot of good stuff out there. A lot of good stuff in the pipeline. We
Mm-hmm.
can't wait. Thank you. Awesome.
Right on.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and well, actually, I'm gonna speak on how I'm doing.
Yeah, please.
Um, yeah, I mean, besides being exhausted and tired this morning, I'm progressing through God of War. I know I talked about that in last week's episode, and I believe in the
Mm.
week prior, in the episode that I was with you. And yeah, I dropped the difficulty. I said F it. You know, I'm not trying to impress anyone. I'm just gonna peruse through this game at my leisure and just pump through it real quickly before the next God of War comes out. Because I mean, I'm gonna pick it up. I mean, so I might as well be prepared. I've been lazy enough for like the last like 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, I've had plenty of time. But yeah, I just haven't done it. So progressing nicely through there. Other than that, we had a mental health day for work yesterday.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so we had yesterday off, which was amazing. Gave me plenty of time to play video games. Obviously, you can see I'm still deranged as ever. So I mean, I may need a couple more days, even beyond the mental health day. But family and is doing wonderful. I have a busy day ahead of me with a lot of fun, and I'm really excited. And yeah, other than that, I'm happy to be, podcasting with you today. So
You know what? I appreciate it. I appreciate that you have such a busy schedule and you still make the time to get up this early and have a chat with me. So,
yes, yeah,
thank you, sir.
anytime. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and cut the music. All right. The music is off, and now we are jumping into video game news. And once again, to all the viewers out there, to all the people watching, we cannot keep the lights on without you. So please like and subscribe this show. If you are watching this show and you have not subscribed yet, we have beef. You know, not enough beef that I will tell you to stop watching, but enough beef to where I want you to subscribe because you matter, and yeah, we wouldn't be here without you. So please take a moment, like, subscribe the show, and yeah, let's carry on. All right, in today's news, first we have a little Nintendo news. This is retro Nintendo news. So we have two never before seen NES games are up for auction right now. This has been reported on by IGN is where I found the article, but literally it's been reported on everywhere. So weirdly enough, we have two games that actually went up for auction at from two separate people, ultimately at the same time. And let's see, one of these games is, let's see, is Napoleon in Japan.
Battlefields of Napoleon.
Battlefields of Napoleon. Thank you very much. I was trying to find that title. So Battlefields of Napoleon is, yeah, it's a well documented, or actually it wasn't a well documented game at the time. It was actually only shown at CES behind doors is what they believe. And with the game, it was very much a Power Glove exclusive, or not exclusive game, but a Power Glove game, if you remember the Power Glove from back in the day. And yeah, it's a trip that this game is barely being released right now. And it is now up for auction. And yeah, it's essentially, this particular game was, I believe, the wife put it up for auction because her husband was actually the game developer for the game that never released. So yeah, she put that game up. And the other game, let's see, do you have the title for that one by any chance?
This one I'm particularly interested in because it's just called Scanners. And
Okay.
that could mean anything. It could be like just like a demo of something that's completely unrelated. But I'm really hoping that it's the NES version of the 1980s film Scanners. Have you ever seen that movie?
I have not. Please enlighten us real quickly.
Oh, Scanners is kind of like a somewhat horror film. It's about these they live among us. These individuals with heightened brain telepathic abilities, and there's a great scene in it where um, this guy is interviewing a scanner on television, I believe, and the guy stares at him until his head explodes, and it's just disgusting and amazing, and definitely worth a Halloween view. So hopefully, if anybody plays this game, which they shouldn't, it's treasure at this point. It'd
Mhm.
be amazing if we can use the power glove to just explode heads.
In all his NES glory, you just see pixels just going just
Exactly.
like on the screen. Oh man. Well, yeah, I mean, and that game is actually the result of a dumpster dive.
Hmm.
So they found the box art, which I was able, I saw it elsewhere. I didn't bring up the photo here, but they actually found the box art, and they're having it reprinted before as they sell it for auction. But
Hmm.
how in the world do you do a dumpster dive and find like a like a 40-year-old, potentially like a 30 to 40-year-old NES game? Like that just blows my mind.
You know what? It's the spooky month. This thing could be cursed. Maybe it wants to be found. Maybe it wants to be played. Maybe we shouldn't play it.
Because if you watch it, potentially your head could explode. Are you ready
Exactly.
for that? I would take the chance though. Personally, just as a gamer, I would not be able to not put it in my NES cartridge. I don't even know. Can you see my can you see it back there? I don't know. I'm gonna move that over real quickly. It's right back there.
Mm.
And I would pop it in there in a second. Yeah, and yeah, if anything happened, it would be worth it for me. Just saying.
Live stream the experience. We need this.
Well, yeah, every week when we post our episode, I do mark that this show is not for kids, because we just never know what's going to happen. We absolutely have no idea.
Apparently, we need to sign liability forms too.
Potentially, if you're on the Game and Watch podcast, sign your life away.
It's a
We are already
dangerous position.
pre-Halloween. We're already in the spirit. So I hope you're in the spirit with us. Uh, Max, was there anything else that you wanted to notate about this particular story that fascinates you or interests you?
All of this fascinates me. Like, I love history. I'm a history guy. This is
Mhm.
modern day treasure hunting. All of it. Like when people talk about like, oh, I want to be the next Indiana Jones, I want to be the next archaeologist, but everything's already been discovered. Like, what else is there? What's the point? This is the point. There's always something out there. I mean, yes, it's like 30 to 40 years old, but it's still treasure. Like
Mhm.
it's still mind-boggling. It's still something that, you know, is not easily it's something that was on something that was super easily accessible that no one has touched. No one. And you found that in a dumpster. Like it's just it's just magical. It really is. And I don't know. Like I'm seeing a future where we have video game archaeologists, video game like we already have them to be honest with you, but I mean, even as a profession, like a total profession, they're working at the Smithsonian and they're just like collections and collections of games, you
Yeah.
know, and I'm interested. I'm interested to see kind of if this kind of profession I'm describing ever actually becomes a thing because that'd be amazing.
Well, here in the US, there is a couple gaming museums,
Yeah.
yeah, that they're always trying to keep funding for, and they're always trying to preserve as much of gaming as possible, even as we enter a digital age.
Hmm.
So yeah, you're totally right. I completely agree with you. I hope these are currently up for auction for $5,000. The ultimate goal is like they've put this on blast out there because they want these games preserved. They do want them in a museum.
Hmm.
So if you have the money, if you have the cachet, and you are watching this episode and you can part with something like this because you want to see it preserved, you absolutely should. Because this is our gaming history.
Hmm.
This is the reason why we have a podcast. These are the games that we grew up with, even though these two were never released. So it's very important that we don't take these things for granted. It's not always about the money. It's about taking these things and educating ourselves, and really gaming is an art form, as much as it's a technology and entertainment piece of medium. it is an art form and should be preserved in all of its relevance.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do
Oh,
you seriously want to be the guy to pop that in and play it? No one's gonna think you're a hero. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, no, absolutely not. Yeah, it feels anything like an old VHS tape. It just like goes in the VCR and then it
Yep.
gets like caught and then it starts to detangle itself. Oh man, to be the worst. All
Yeah.
right, my friend. Well, on to our next Nintendo topic. Can anyone out in the audience guess what it is? No, you cannot. So we have the Switch. We have the Switch Split Pad Compact controller confirmed for the West, and these things look pretty cool. The peripheral was recently announced for Japan, known as the Split Pad Fit. And various designs have been appearing in the country for several months. But that said, recently an updated version of the Split Pad Pro has been released, and yeah, it's provided. I mean, it's a full controller size experience for a handheld experience. It has full analog sticks and a D-pad, and along with turbo functions that you cannot find on your standard Joy Cons. And yeah, you could also assign the rear buttons along with the turbo front buttons. There's motion controls, HD rumble, NFC, and there's IR. And the IR cameras aren't compatible. But yeah, I had to put this on here. I thought they were looking pretty cool. I would definitely replace them rather than use the standard Joy Cons. Max, had the opportunity to peep these, take a look at these, and check these out.
Yes, I did. I'm always looking for any sort of substitution to a Joy-Con. Seriously, I hate those things. They're probably one of the worst controllers I've ever touched. Not a fan. But these look like someone took the compactness, the comfort, and the design. Well, maybe not the design, but the functionality of the Pro controller. They cut a Pro controller in half and put it on the end of the Switch. Genius, genius. This looks so comfortable. I'm 100% game for all of this. Like, yeah, it's. I would absolutely sacrifice the immersion of like rumble features and things like that for handheld comfort.
Yeah,
I would.
100. Yep. Yeah, no, you know what? I mean, there's always skins out there for consoles and
Yeah.
controllers and things like that. I just don't understand like why Nintendo isn't doing this. Like Nintendo's had every opportunity to make alternate Joy Cons with the ability to just snap them off. You know, the
Yep.
whole click is their whole like stitch for like the Joy-Con is like when they're snapping them on. Every time they have a Nintendo Direct, they're making the little clicking sound and everything because it is such a satisfying thing when you play on your Switch to snap it on. But just the fact that they haven't embraced that and made multiple versions of the Joy-Cons in addition to not having like really themed ones like this. Yes, they have ones in different colors, but
Mhm.
they don't have like beastly Pikachu ones with
No
like
way.
with like lightning bolts and thunder shocks and like all these other like aspects to it. I
No.
mean, Hori is really just taking it to another level right here. And we've seen a ton of Nintendo Joy-Con controllers, but I don't feel like we've seen any just quite like this.
No, not at all. And you know what? I'm looking at this. I mean, I have no information to go on, but I bet there's not going to be a drift as quickly as there is on some of these Joy Cons that I've had. Like, I've been so dissatisfied with them. I could go on and on about how much I hate those things, but
Yep.
this is more akin to what, like you were saying, Nintendo should jump on this. Like,
Mhm.
100%. They're losing money because they want to continue with, I don't know, just the different colors. And some people don't even like that. Like, I've got friends who pine for solid color Joy Cons where it's, same color throughout instead of just like, I don't know, an orange and a purple on one side. I'm lucky enough to actually have two red Joy Cons from like the Switch I bought was like a I don't know, a Mario edition that I bought at Walmart, and like both of them are just solid red, and I agree. Like I like that, but the Joy Cons themselves terrible.
Yeah.
I'm rambling anyway.
No, no, you're totally fine. I think for every Switch owner out there, I think I don't think there's anyone that hasn't experienced Joy-Con drift. So I think it's something to ramble about. I think it's something to be upset
Yeah,
about. But I think this is something to celebrate. In terms
yeah,
of
exactly.
pricing, we don't have a price yet. So yeah, it's kind of a wait and see moment. I can't imagine that they would be any less than that. $79 US that they are here.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm sure they're more in Canada. But yeah, they look great. They look amazing. If they don't have drift, if they're able a little bit
Yeah.
more durable, that's gonna be awesome. And the turbo features, I mean, that's any fighting game person's like fantasy. Like
Oh
is to
yeah.
have like mappable buttons and just programmable buttons and then yeah, just being able to
You're
hit
that
that
Mortal
turbo button.
Kombat fans, get on that.
There we go. There we go. Game and Watch Colors, Mortal Kombat right there. We're in cahoots. So, on to our next story. Let's see. We're kind of burning through those, which we should. There's plenty to talk about this week.
Mhm.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was data mined to reveal DLC, the new DLC hero. So, in this story in particular, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 received a patch or update. Its new version 1.2, yeah, 1.2. And they're receiving just a wave of DLC that was discovered via data mine. And in that data mine, they also discovered a new hero. And technically, we've already seen this hero, but only in a silhouette form. They were teased during the Nintendo Direct last month. But with this data mine, we are now able to confirm who that hero is. Let's see. And other than that, I mean, let's see. I don't play Xenoblade Chronicles 3. But I did play Xenogears, which I always champion every opportunity that I get. And this is very much the branch off that has had multiple iterations already. That said, Max, are you? Well, let me actually start this out. Um, I have no idea who this hero is, but I think they look
Mhm.
pretty cool. That's not them, but that is them right there. Yeah, I love how Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is being supported after the fact. So, I mean, all those fans out there that are watching this, yeah, you have something excited to be about. And I know there's already been a couple other heroes released in the game. But yeah, Max, have you ever jumped into Xenoblade Chronicles 3?
Xenoblade Chronicles 3, no. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, extensive. Not by choice, but because that's just how the game is made. Um, I was looking at, not to say that it's bad, it's amazing, but they've definitely turned I was looking at just curiosity playtime for Xenoblade Chronicles 3. It's 160 hours if you do everything, which I'm not even surprised. Like these games are long. And you get a new character and a new quest. All right, 170 hours. Keep it up. Keep down the pipeline. Let's hit 200 hours. Um, as for this character, I'm not 100% sure how Xenoblade Chronicles 3's uh, their heroes work. So in the first game, I believe it was party members. In the second game, it was more akin to like Pokemon almost, where you would find. So it was your player character, and your party, and you would go and you would find. They were called blades, and they were sentient beings that also came with a weapon, and you would fight kind of like in a symbiotic relationship, and you would equip three of them. There were some special ones that had like dialogue options that were actual characters, and then there were some like ones that were jobbers that you know you just used to fill a slot. And a lot of them were waifus, very nice. Uh, but for this, I'll have to take a look outside of this, but if it works the same way, like it could be party members or yeah, it could be just these heroes that you kind of discover on your journey in like another kind of like Pokemon collecting type of game mechanic. But um, that for me warrants more, uh, just more discovery, more research, I suppose. Um, I would definitely give this a shot, but I just when I look at like 160 hours and I remember like how long it took me to do Xenoblade 2, like I don't know, it's a scary commitment. But if you have the time, you love really good JRPGs, and you love Scottish accents, Xenoblade Chronicles is definitely for you.
That's great. Amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the hardest hitting franchises on the Switch to date.
Mhm.
It's up there with, games like Fire Emblem. Yeah. So I mean, I really don't have much to say about Xenoblade Chronicles, but I mean, if you are a fan, there you go. And let's see, before we move on to our next story, we're going to take a quick moment just to remind our fans out there to like, follow, and subscribe us. If you are not a subscriber, we want you to jump in and let us know that you care, that you like the Game and Watch podcast, that you love the Game and Watch
Mm.
podcast, and you want to help keep the lights on. Please join us. We have hundreds of watchers every week, but we only have a small fraction of subscribers. So don't be one of those people. Please join us and taking a moment and clicking those buttons down below and liking and subscribing to the show.
Don't be a lurker. Don't do it.
As Max said, don't be a lurker. All right. And for our next story, we have some VR news. Let's see. So Meta acquires Resident Evil 4 developer Amateur Studios. And I found this particular article interesting because the FTC has, which is the Federal Trade Commissions, they have essentially filed a suit against Meta because they've been scooping up as many VR studios as they can. So they very much are creating a monopolistic market, which I found interesting. That was filed in 2015, but that does not seem like it has stopped Meta whatsoever. Um, let's see. So yeah, they just picked up another studio. They picked up amateur
Our armature.
Armature. I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Yeah, which is a Texas-based studio, and they are behind Resident Evil 4 VR. Armature teamed up with Capcom to port Resident Evil to the MetaQuest 2 last year, and they really built the game from the ground up to accommodate everyone's playstyle. Resident Evil 4 proved was a huge success in VR, as it made $2 million in the Meta store or the Quest store within the first 24 hours. And then it also got the best VR/AR game in the 2021 Game Awards. Let's see. And before they did that port, they worked on other IPs such as Fail Factory in 2017 and Sports Scramble in 2019. I mean, Meta, they're snatching them all up. I mean, really, this article is so important in terms of like if you are a VR fan, with acquisitions like this, we are very much going to see like that Facebook or Meta or the Quest overall is going to be like the one place to play your VR games. We have the PlayStation VR2 coming up. And that is very much its own ecosystem. Anyone that has a PlayStation 5 that's interested in that world, they're most likely going to delve into that, or have already purchased the original Quest. But I would say, yeah, I mean, Max, do you have any feelings or about Meta taking another player out of the market?
Well, I mean a little bit. It Variety is the spice of life. I'm not the biggest VR guy, unlike you, my friend, but I don't know. when we have, there's nothing wrong with competition. Competition benefits the consumer as a whole, right? Like if Meta is acquiring all of these studios, and I'd hate to see subpar content being produced. Not that I think that there will be, but I'm always in favor of competition. I'm always in favor of different studios under different people, people providing competition. That's why we have such great Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo titles, because they're all pushing each other. With Meta, who are they pushing against? Who's their competition?
Yeah.
Congress, to make sure that, you know to make sure that they can keep this money train going.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, if they might even I was just kind of thinking, like, Resident Evil 4 VR, Resident Evil 4 remakes coming out. See if that gets ported as also a VR title. If it's anything like Resident Evil 7.
I mean, if they pay Capcom, I mean, it definitely could happen.
Yeah.
I think this had happened very timely because we know that Capcom, you know, Resident Evil Village is coming to
Mhm.
VR. And I don't, I'm sure in Capcom's later strategy, like if the game fits, I'm sure a VR component is what they're anticipating for their future games. But
Mhm.
with them removing one of Capcom's resources off the table, that is going to make it more difficult for them unless they want to, pay Meta essentially in order to make that happen. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So that's kind of my issue is, yeah,
Mm,
like if we could we could potentially see some great stuff coming down the pipeline, but if one company acquires all the assets, taking the players off the table, taking the pieces away, like we may never see a lot of that stuff. Like
yeah.
competition, people compete.
Yes. Yeah, oh, they're competing, but they're competing with their wallets, and it's not the type of
No,
competition that we like.
no, I don't like playing
Um,
that game.
Yeah. And let's see, before we end this, I mean, recently, if you already didn't know, Meta also acquired two additional game studios prior to this. They also acquired the Camouflage team, or Camo, FLAJ. So it's camouflage, but spelled differently. Team, who's the studio behind Marvel Man's Iron Man VR. So that's why we've recently seen that come to the Quest, and they've also acquired Twisted Pixel, the developers behind Path of a Warrior. So it'll be a while before they reveal what they're particularly working on. But yeah, just more players off the table, and Meta is also I'm sorry, but Armature is also working on a VR version of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, coming to the Quest pretty soon. So if you're ready for that, yeah, you can expect that. Yeah, in the near future. Sweet. We have a little bit more meta news, so don't leave us. We're almost done with this topic. But in regards to our next meta topic, let's see. The Quest Pro was recently announced. Let's see. Let me go and actually pull up the story so I can actually speak to it a little bit. But the Meta Quest Pro has recently been announced, and it was announced to release on October 25th for $1,500. The Quest Pro, it's a new branch of the Quest VR headset lineup. It features new processors. It has a new screen. It has a dramatically redesigned just function, and form. New controller. It says inward facing cameras for eye tracking and face tracking. It has a color video feed for mixed reality apps. It's going to release in 22 countries on October 25th. Yeah, and I mean the regular Quest Pro right now is, I'm sorry, the Quest Pro and the Quest 2 are right now, they're sitting at $399. So it kind of blows these ones out of the even the realm A lot of people heard about this headset and they were comparing it to the PlayStation VR 2, which is coming out early next year. But these are obviously for two completely different markets. Meta, in their announcing of this, said that this is very much geared toward businesses. So this is like going to be their business branch of the Quest. And yeah, it'll be available to anyone that wants to purchase it. But it's going to be more in lines with the HoloLens. And so I found this really interesting. You can see videos out there right now of the augmented reality and what people are playing. But I mean, let me go ahead and shut up for a second. Max, have you had an opportunity to look at any of these videos of the people playing this, or were you sticker shocked when you saw that price tag?
You know what? I was definitely sticker shocked, but this thing is sexy. Like, I don't know, like it is. It just looks so comfortable. It's not
Mhm,
like jutting out. It's not like, I'm not wearing a brick on my face or anything. It's just like a pair of goggles. This is
mhm,
amazing. Like design. I haven't seen any videos, um, kind of showing off its capabilities at the moment. But I mean, my first question was, you know, $1,500. Who is this for, right? And the article states that it's for uh, businesses and professionals. Now, I'm not 100% sure what that necessarily means. Like, are
mhm,
we talking about like, oh, this is allows you to conference in on, I don't know, a stockbrokers meeting from wherever you are, or what's a professional gamer,
mhm,
professional, like I'm just kind of curious. I'm kind of fixated on that specifically because, like, I don't think you can ask a lot of people. I don't think you can ask the gaming consumer to drop $1,500 for something like this. It's people will do it, but in the long run, it's just not feasible because you know that there will be something else. They
mhm,
will always be upgrading. They will always be doing this. If I purchase something like this for that price, I would expect that to last like a good decade or even further. Like, I have a travel backpack, for example. You know, like the big ones you can get at like, I
like
don't know,
REI? Do you have
REI, or
REI?
like
Yep.
we have MEC,
Okay.
and I think I dropped like $400 on it, and I've had it for 5 years now, and like I will never need another one. I will never need another one. And when I see a price like this, that's a price that tells me that I will never need another one of these. But that's never going to be the case.
Yeah.
It's not. So I don't know. Personally speaking, I would wait for a price drop, or maybe I'll become a business professional and I can afford this. But I mean, there's always improvements in the gaming world, and as sad as it is to say, there's planned obsolescence. It's a notorious business practice, but you know things don't last. They don't,
Mhm,
and there will always be something new. Like, I believe you said it yourself. Like, you're waiting for the Steam Deck 2. You're waiting for that initial run of first generation Steam Decks to run its course, wait for the next one, and then hop on the train. And that's perfectly reasonable because there will always be upgrades. There will always be something better. There will always be a successor. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just a little shocked by that price tag, as you can
yeah.
hear.
Yeah, no, no, there's not a mark that you didn't miss right there. So I mean, I everything that you just spoke to, I mean, I completely agree with. I would just say, like, in terms of business professional, I do follow VR quite a bit, and very much Meta has been pushing a new way to communicate, a new way to work, especially now that like that pandemic hit.
Mhm.
Like they are trying to push a home office in a virtual space. So they have what they call it's called Horizons.
Okay.
Is the it's like PlayStation Home, but like in VR. It's what they've been working on, and it's their essentially their interface, their launcher for like everything that you want to do in a virtual world. And Horizons is a virtual office space along with everything else, it's a communal space and everything. It's currently like a lot of like VR worlds that you can enter and just like kind of like relax, but it's very much geared towards people that want to do a little bit more than just hang out. So Horizons, there's videos out there of that, but yeah, it's I mean, right now Meta seems like they think VR is the future. In a business world, they are very much embracing the remote community and things like that. So I think that's what they mean in terms of business professionals. I
Mhm.
think if they are able to integrate VR in a commonplace in gaming, which they've relatively done. They kept virtual reality relevant when everything kind of fell off. Like we saw like success with the PlayStation VR, we saw mild success with the original Oculus, along with the HTC Vive and the thousands and thousands of other headsets that have popped up over the years. But when all of those like did like just a little tiny numbers and they were like mild successes, like people are like, oh, this is cool. With the Quest, and they've really kept VR on people's minds, on people's thoughts, and kept it relevant within the gaming community and just the community as a whole. And with them, removing the wires, I mean, it took VR to a whole different level. It really did, and it's 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 such an impact right now. Everyone is like looking at like the PlayStation VR 2 and they're just like, huh, it has one wire. I don't know if I can do that.
Mhm.
But in the same respect, like the PlayStation is going to be powering this headset, which is going to power the capabilities behind it, which is going to allow you to get big first party games, which is going to be absolutely phenomenal. From I haven't played it, but I believe I have full faith in that experience right there. PlayStation is going to have like foveated rendering, which allows you to look at like objects. Whatever you're looking at is going to be it's what's going to be rendered at the given time, and everything else behind it, it's going to be blurred. Which it hasn't been put in a headset before. And I'm really looking forward to that. And they don't even have that within this headset. But from what I've seen, the AR, it looks absolutely seamless. And the capabilities of this headset are by far like above none. You can tell that they put money into the form factor and the look of this. And I mean, it just yeah, it looks pretty sweet. Beyond that, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's a definitely a cool headset. I mean, Meta, they're really like talking about like two main features. The first is like their inward facing cameras, that track your eyes, as I just mentioned, and your face.
Mhm.
And the other is, um, yeah, it'll just be detecting the room around you. And yeah, I did mention foveated rendering a second, but this headset will also have that. So it'll be able to track your eyes and it'll render those objects that are directly in front of you immediately. And it'll look that much clearer. But yeah, just interesting pieces of technology. It's just the form factor and what's being done here is uncanny, and it's
Mhm.
only going to push VR forward, as we see multiple iterations come out from the competitors.
Mhm.
And it gets me excited for Meta's new consumer friendly headset that will come out down the line.
They're just gonna make a bodysuit at some point.
They probably will.
They probably
I,
will.
I could definitely see that. All right. Well, I think we talked enough of virtual reality. Let's talk about some more peripherals. I know our friend Mark, aka Mr. Madness in our Discord, loves controllers. So we always like to show the newest, latest controllers that are available for people. But Razer unveils its new Xbox controller. Let's see. So Razer's wireless controller and quick charging station, and accessories are absolutely amazing. They unveiled a Razer limited edition wireless controller with a quick charging stand for Xbox, which sports a black and green finish like Microsoft's Phantom line of controllers. That being said, they aren't cheap. If you want them, you gotta pay for them. So yeah, I mean, I don't collect controllers myself. I have a ton of them. But that I don't collect like multiple of the same controller. But this controller is $200, I believe.
Mhm.
Max, are you a big controller guy? And does this what do you think of this one? Does this one look pretty sweet?
My philosophy with controllers is much like my philosophy with cars. A controller and a car, very similar. They get you point A to point B. They have a simple function, and as long as they work, I'm happy. I'm not a consumer of collecting controllers. I can see why people do, 100%. But personally speaking, $200. This is like the cheap episode. Max's cheap episode. That's what we gotta label this as. um, I would say too, though, there's a quote here, just going along with that. This controller is for the diehard fans who bleed acid green.
That is a tag. That is definitely a tag. I do
Must
not
also
bleed
bleed
acid
money,
green.
apparently.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, yeah. I mean, it's a nice looking controller. I mean, it's not doing anything special. Yeah,
Not really.
it's a beautiful green.
It says
I,
Razer.
yeah, it says Razer on it. Razer products are relatively, good products.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, I wouldn't say there's anything special other than that. But let's continue our controller talk because that's not the only controller that was released or that's going to be released fairly soon. We also have Microsoft's, let's see, what is it? Lunar Shift Special Edition controller. There you go for all of our video listeners. You have a wonderful mock up there of the lunar controller in front of the moon. Because that
So
makes
cool.
sense. Yeah. That and the controller's actual size. It is as big as the moon. So yeah, if you're interested in this, it was accidentally leaked on Amazon back in September, but Microsoft has finally revealed the special edition controller. Yeah, alongside a quick charging station to match. The controller is just being announced just recently after Microsoft's Aqua Shift Special Edition controller. And they essentially have a what looks like to be a new line of faceplates. They also have like the camo style, and we're just receiving multiple iterations of this. It's not as expensive as the Razer line, which I'm disappointed by. I mean, why isn't it $200? For US, we're looking at $69.99, so it is more expensive than your average controller. But Max, is this enough to shift you over to collecting controllers?
I swear you like put these like back to back like a coin flip on purpose. Um, no, this is so much more affordable. And I don't know. Controllers are also like shoes. So like if I'm going for a run, I'm gonna buy a trusted brand of shoe. I'm gonna buy a Nike. I'm gonna buy Adidas. They make shoes. I'm not gonna buy, I don't know, craft brand shoes like craft peanut butter. You know what I mean? Like there's lots of like brands out there that make their own things, but like coming from the source, coming from Microsoft,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's very trustable. Affordable
Yeah.
price, love it. Do
No.
I have to bleed acid green? No, I can just bleed moonbeam. I'm all right with that.
If you hold this controller, you will turn into a werewolf also, which is, I mean, for Halloween, if you were looking for a costume, here you go.
Or if you're a
It's
Saiyan, you'll turn into a giant ape. So
Oh yeah,
there you go, man.
very true, very true. And in the in the disclaimer at the bottom of the box, it actually says you will not turn into a werewolf or a Saiyan.
Damn it.
Yeah, we're gonna continue our Xbox news, but before we do, I just want to remind everyone to take a moment, pause for a second, like, follow, and subscribe to the show. Yeah, just if you haven't already subscribed to the show, you should. We have a good time. We want to have a good time with you. Write into the show, and we will read your comments at the end of the show. Let's hang out. Let's have a good time. As we're already having too much fun. But onto our next article. Let's see. So this one has is actually meta related also, but it's not solely meta related. So Xbox Cloud Gaming is coming to the Meta Quest. Yeah, which is, I think it's a win-win for both these companies. But Meta and Microsoft announced during the 2022 Meta Connect conference that Meta 2 is getting Xbox Cloud Gaming integration in the future, allowing users to stream Xbox games directly to the headset. Let's see. According to a post on the Oculus blog, players will be able to stream hundreds, and quote, players will be able to stream hundreds of games to the MetaQuest store compatible devices, including the MetaQuest 2. This will work for games that aren't inherently VR compatible also, as the setup will let you play these games on a 2D screen the company describes as like having a private movie theater available at all times. And I honestly, I mean, this is just a win-win, really. You can't really get any better than this. This is going to give the Quest just a whole library of games that they don't have to worry about really sourcing from developers themselves. And then is Meta is paying Microsoft for this. Like, that is happening. In addition to that, any games that you purchase out of that store are going to go to Microsoft. So I mean, this is just a pro bono deal altogether. Man, this entices me to want to pick up that headset even more. If I weren't so scared of Meta just tracking all my data, which they already do. I have a Facebook account and all this stuff, or a Meta account. So yeah, I should just go pick it up. But that being said, Max, I mean, what do you think of Microsoft putting Game Pass everywhere?
I'm very okay. So this entices me to pick up VR because one of the biggest drawbacks I've always found throughout the years with VR, all the way back to what was that Nintendo VR console, the one that gave you like made you
Virtual Boy.
cross-eyed? Yeah, the Virtual Boy.
Yep.
The libraries for them are always so small. And it makes so much more sense to just put everything on it, even if it's 2D. Like, having a massive library is so much more enticing because you can already play the things that you currently have. And not only that, putting Game Pass everywhere. Like, this is how Xbox survives. I've been talking for months about how Xbox is slowly dying, and like how I want to see it come back, and Microsoft, and I guess in general, maybe not Xbox, but
Yeah.
sorry, Xbox, maybe not Microsoft. Anyway, this gives me hope. This gives me hope that Xbox is changing the game. It really is. It's changing up everything. It's shaking up everything, just like it did back in like 2002. Yes.
In the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's always the fear of your information being taken. There's always that fear of metadata, Zuckerberg making replicants. It's very likely. It's very true. But like, if they're not going to get you, if they don't get you that way, they're going to get you another way. They're going to get us right now. With what we're doing right now. So like, I don't know. You might as well have fun on the way. I would also like to say that I think it's nice to see. I think the article states that they're using some of Google Stadia's assets. So yeah, it's good to see that that's getting repurposed.
Yep.
So still sorry everybody who had Stadia. I hope your hours upon hours of Destiny gameplay was either refunded or carried over in some way. I haven't been keeping up, but my heart goes out.
Yeah, but Bungie said they're working on a fix for that, and there's other developers that are working on a fix. But there are people and there are games that are just lost into the ether. But we've already talked about that.
Yeah.
Let's see. For our next story, more Persona games are coming to Xbox. Um, pardon me. Uh, let's see. Developer and publisher Atlas has announced that Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Golden will be coming to Xbox Game Pass in January. Along with that, Persona 5 Royale were all announced for Xbox and Xbox Game Pass earlier this year. Persona 5 Royale was given an October release date, which is coming up, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But no dates were given for the other two remasters. Atlas has also confirmed that Persona 3 and Persona 4 Golden. Oh, I'm sorry. They've updated the article in terms of they will release those two games in January or on January 19th of
Mm,
next year. So those games are just coming right around the corner. And Persona 5, that's coming out in a little bit, will actually include all DLC packs that were released for the turn-based RPG. And yeah, and that comes out October 21st. And it'll be run at 60 frames per second on the Xbox Series X and S. This might be my reason why I jump back into Game Pass. I mean, I have Persona 5, but I stopped playing because I wanted to play Persona 5 Royale
mhm.
because I bought it only like a month prior to it
Yeah.
coming out. And I was like, damn you, Atlas, you created a better way to play your game. You took out all the annoying stuff. And I haven't picked up the game since because 120 hours is quite a little chunk of time to invest in a game. But I mean, this might be the reason why I pick up Game Pass again. I got rid of it when I heard like Starfield and Redfall and just all these games weren't coming this year that were delayed into next year. So this excites me. This excites me quite a bit. And January is right around the corner as we approach the holiday season. October 21st is right here. We are just a little over a week away from that at the time of this episode. But Max, are you a Persona fan? I believe we had a couple conversations about this.
Yes, yes, I am. I hopped on the Persona train on the PSP, and I think that so Persona 3 was originally exclusively on the PlayStation Portable, and I think it's right now the most expensive game I own in terms of just value, and it's really hard. It can get really dark. Um, I think as opposed to like Persona 4 and Persona 5. Like one of the game mechanics is like, how do I summon my persona? I pull out a gun and I shoot myself in the head. Like it's pretty dark, but a lot of fun. Um, the biggest the biggest draw to this game isn't the necessarily the combat. There's so many elements to this. There's Pokemon. It's turn based. It's a social simulator. It's and all of it's so like crucial. Like you have like everything fits perfectly together. Like you have to on your everyday, you go to gym class, you join clubs, you talk to your friends who are your party members, you establish your social links and you strengthen them because that makes their personas more powerful. The other chance, you yourself, the main character, and I believe this is across the board for every Persona game, you have the ability to have multiple personas and you can combine them like Digimon or like whatever to make some new ones
Mhm.
and you swap them in and out all the time and then you always have your personal main persona. So there's like again, there's that collectible element to it. And then for JRPG fans who love that turn-based combat, the micromanaging of items and weapons, that's there too. And it's just this chaotic amalgam that just somehow like fits. And I believe everybody's got their favorite
Yeah.
just because of the characters and seeing these getting more love, getting a ton of love is awesome. Like I don't know, Persona 4 I haven't played too much of, but that's definitely one of the fan favorites.
Yeah.
That's one most people I think start with or jump into, and they'll go backwards and then they'll go forwards.
Mhm.
And yeah, like, and if you don't want to wait, like Persona 4 Golden, like the whole complete remaster or remake of it, it's all on Steam. It's like usually like $14.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, give me that Persona. Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're out on Steam and they recently came to the PlayStation not too long ago also. So I
Yeah.
mean, all of them are available out there. And if you have a PSP, it's still available for you. Hold on. Wait, do I have my PSP? I think I have my PSP right here.
What?
Let's see. No, I have just my case. So I have my custom my special case that Sony sent me.
Oh, lovely.
My PSP is actually back there, so I won't
Mm.
grab it right now. But yeah, I got some games here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just dig into these because I haven't done this during the episode or any episode. But
Oh,
here
I'm
we go.
excited for this. PSP was a huge part of my childhood.
Let's see. So we got some God of War.
Love
Uh,
it.
had to get that.
Yep.
Let's see. I got Wipeout for the PSP. Beautiful, beautiful game. Mega Man Power Up because I love some Mega Man. What's up?
That game. Okay, so short story. I bought that game at a GameStop bargain bin, and I opened up the game, and it was Beautiful Joe.
You always got to check those games at the bargain bins. You
Gotta
do.
get that, man. Turned out to be really fun though.
It's a great game. It really is.
Mhm.
And my last game. Well, actually, I have more. I have a couple other games, but I have Tony Hawk um, Underground Remix 2, which was it was Tony Hawk should not be played on a PSP.
No.
I can tell you that much. And then I have my favorite movie for the PSP. We have Final Fantasy.
That's your favorite movie.
I mean, on the PSP.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just it was one that it was like my go-to when I was like, I don't have enough time to play a game or I just don't want to. I would pop that in my UMD, and I would just watch it. It was
That was my introduction to Final Fantasy.
I feel sorry for you.
It was all uphill from there. I mean,
Oh, that's good. That's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I had Ghost Rider. That was my PSP movie.
I had that and Spider-Man were like only two movies that I had. And
Mhm.
so it was Spider-Man 2, which was my favorite Spider-Man, with Doc Ock and everything. So I would just watch that in
All right.
succession. Yeah.
Next
What's
time
up?
I'm on an episode, I'm gonna bring my shoebox of PSP games, and I'm gonna do that too because
Okay.
I want to show them off.
Please bring them. We want to see them. This is a video game podcast. We talk about video games here all day, every day. Let's see. So in regards to our next story, because everyone's probably like, should I be watching this right now? Yes, you absolutely should. Actually, you should take a moment. You guys are gonna hate me, but you should take a moment to like and subscribe the show as you drink your coffee, sitting there listening and hanging out with us. We appreciate your support. So take a moment, hit those buttons down below, and let's carry on. Let's see. So for our next story, Forza Horizon 5's nostalgia field filled anniversary update is now live. So let's see. The anniversary update has come out and it brings just a ton of Horizon story. It brings midnight battles from Forza Horizon 3. It brings new music, new cars, and more. It's all available for download now, which is a great 10 gigs if you got the space, which I don't on my Series X because those memory cards are so damn expensive. And I won't be picking up anyone anytime soon. And we talked about that last week. So go check out episode 107 if you want to hear me bitch about memory cards. But other than that, there's a bunch of just new content that's here. Yeah, so I mean, players, they can relive experiences, or for the first time, really just play all the experience from past Forza games from like 2013, and you can like drive the Dodge SRT Viper GTS Anniversary Edition, which is like now been replaced as one of the covers. There's going to be a new festival that's going to kind of launch all this. So you'll be able to jump into the festival, which will be celebrating the 10-year anniversary. They are bringing back midnight battles. So if you don't know what that is, it's a game mode where you compete against the computer in head-to-head races. And if you win, you get the competitor's car. So very much Need for Speed Unbound, We saw that shown last week. We didn't talk about it last week because we ran out of time. But yeah, it's you're racing for slips. So
Racing for that pink slip.
you're racing for those pink slips. So a very welcome mode. I think it's a mode that a lot of people were requesting, and so for them to bring it back in this way is absolutely amazing. There's also a new, even higher class. Like there's the new PI class. So if you're like super hardcore and you are an expert racer, then I mean, please jump on, stream it for us. Like just email me at gamingwatchpodcast.com and stream it, and we will show it on this show because we want to see you race in that class because I can't do it. Max, can you do it?
I can't do it. I haven't touched Forza since like the Xbox 360 came out and it was, packaged with it. I didn't play much of it, unfortunately. I missed out. I know.
Yeah, it's okay. We're honest. We're honest here. And I mean, other than that, there's a whole bunch of new achievements and accolades that you can get. And there's a whole bunch of new music to really just set this thing off. And the music is going to keep you just going as you're racing around through the city. This gets me excited. I love Forza, and I love the Horizon series even more so. And yeah, I mean, I jump in and out at random times. But it's things like this that absolutely make me want to come back. Do I want to race for slips? Fuck yeah, I do. Like send me out there, and I'm gonna burn some fools, and I'm gonna take their cars. Max, are you as excited about this as I am?
I actually am. Yeah. I, you know, recently actually I've been slowly but surely getting into racing games a whole lot more, and like with like a 10 gig update that includes so much content, um including like this is racing for pink slips to get a car. That's like amazing incentive. That's amazing. And it just keeps you coming back for more. And like if that difficulty spike is like just as challenging, like like you'll be addicted. I would be anyway. I mean, it's like the Dark Souls of cars. I shouldn't be saying that. People, but but what I mean by that is that difficulty makes you just keep wanting to try and try again because that reward is just too juicy to pass up.
No.
So I mean, yeah, send it my way if it ever comes on to. Is it on PlayStation? I don't think it is.
No,
I think that's an Xbox exclusive. Yeah,
yeah. Sorry,
maybe I'll get
friend.
an Xbox.
Sorry, that might be. I mean, Series S's are selling for like $230, I believe.
Okay.
200 somewhere. So like they're selling like super cheap right now. So I mean, if you just like wanted a way to play and you wanted like a travel console, maybe like a Series S is not a bad way to go right now if you're looking just for like digital games, play in the cloud or play on the go. The Series S is looking pretty chef's kiss right now. So as I put that out there, but yeah, so wonderful story, but we're gonna get even crazier with stories right here. So we have Valve Steam Deck can now run Game Boy games and Game Boy Advance cartridges. And yeah, this is per Nintendo Life. Is the place where we got this article, which I find a little ironic, but Valve Steam Deck community hasn't wasted any time in emulating games and getting them up and running on the Steam Deck. But the most impressive yet is this right here, because you can run a Game Boy operator and an operator app that are now compatible with SteamOS. And it's described like having a cartridge slot for your computer. And the device is compatible with Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. And you can play these games on your Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is becoming potentially the most versatile console out there. Like, it is like, this is awesome. This is just like, I'm like, who thought of this? And it's amazing that they thought of this. But this is so cool. And this open source piece of technology that we continuously talk about every week just keeps on getting better and better and better. And And as you said earlier, like I am waiting for like the next generation, but they're making it harder for me, Max. They're making it
Yeah,
harder for me every week to resist just jumping into this thing right now to just do all these amazing things and use all these amazing features. Did you have opportunity to look at this prior to the episode? Like, dude, I mean, this is amazing.
I. What can I say? Like, I'm slowly the more and more like we talk about the Steam Deck, like you said, like every single week, every time that like I'm here, every time we talk about this, like I'm just thinking all the time, I'm just gonna pack up all of my current gen consoles if I'm never gonna use them again. Um, Trade them in, get that cash, and put everything onto this thing because they're showing me that I can, and that's just amazing. Like this is like a slap in the face to Nintendo. They're just like you guys clearly have the capabilities of like all of this backwards compatibility, all of this like you can provide cartridge slots. It's not that difficult. You're just not doing it. So then Steam's just like, oh, we'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it right now. And then they look at this. This is amazing. Like, I mean, right now, this is, you know, an external attachment. This is an
Mm.
external device. You wait for that Steam Deck 2, and it's just going to be on the back of the thing.
Yeah.
You're gonna have you could probably run UMDs. You could probably run if they
Ooh.
make it like big enough,
Yeah.
you could probably put a CD in there, and then you can have like a cartridge slot. Like this thing, this beautiful piece of technology is limitless with what it can do, and I fully believe that because every other week they're doing things like this.
Yep.
Every other week,
I
and it's just
mean,
yeah.
oh
Go ahead.
no, no, continue what you're saying, please.
Oh, it's just it's got to be the most consumer like minded like made by consumers for consumers, or at the very least that's how it feels. I feel
Yep.
respected. I feel like my time and my money is respected. Like everything is being put on one single thing for my comfort, for my ease of access. And I'm definitely gonna bite.
Yep.
I'm hooked.
I mean, in terms of Nintendo, I mean, they kind of don't have a leg to stand on. Like as you mentioned, like they take their time putting out their games and making they really don't make them accessible. They pretty much
No.
cut you off at the legs. And deleting their virtual stores and so forth, and they make it just so difficult to play their games. I mean, there were rumors earlier this year that Nintendo was testing Game Boy Advance games for the Switch Online service, but there hasn't been an
Yeah,
announcement. There hasn't been
exactly.
any announcements. But on the Steam Deck, I mean, you can play GameCube games, you can play Wii games, you can play Nintendo Switch games, you can play 3DS games, you can play Wii U games. Nintendo doesn't have a leg left to stand on. And I mean, I know Valve is like washing their hands of this and they're like, it's open source. You can kind of do what you want. But a couple weeks back, there was an article that I believe that we had on our episode. I believe it was episode 106, where we talked about how Valve put out a YouTube commercial showing showing like their interface that they had, but they had a Switch emulator
Yeah.
on the screen when they did that commercial and they put it up on YouTube and they took it down immediately as people pointed it out, that there's a Switch emulator on there, so they're totally completely aware. They're
Oh yeah.
so aware of what this thing could do and what's being done, and I'm sure Nintendo is paying attention also, and I'm sure they are pissed.
Yeah. This
And
shit is
they're
so fucking punk rock. It's so
yeah.
punk rock. It's amazing. Like it's like I don't know, it's sticking it to the corporations, man. Like that's
Mhm.
definitely the vibe I'm getting, and like I love it. I love it because the only people like it's amazing mutualism. They're benefiting, we're benefiting. You know, the history of video games is benefiting. Like it's I can't gush enough about this.
Yeah.
So Steam Deck 2, please release soon. It's getting
Yeah.
really hard to wait.
I completely agree. I think we got a little bit of time before that, but in the meantime, the consistent updates are only going to make this device like that much better. So when the number two comes out, like we're going to be ready to go. We're going to be set for life.
Mhm.
And the only thing is, like, from here, you gotta make sure you're buying those CDs and those cartridges and
Or
and
hold on
so
to what
forth.
you have
Yep,
currently right now.
yep.
Any bargain bin CDs, any old games you think you're never going to play anymore, hold on to that because you wait, you'll be able to play them again.
Yeah, this is very true. Let's see. So beyond that, my friends, um, if you have PlayStation Plus or PlayStation Plus Extra, I should specify, and PlayStation Premium, yeah, we have more games coming out. So it looks like PlayStation's, in terms of releases, they're going to release towards the end of the month because that seems to be their cadence for the last several months. Is they release like somewhere between the 15th to the 25th in terms of, like, when they release their PlayStation Extra and Premium games. But we have a ton of games that were recently announced to be coming out soon. So these will be coming out Tuesday, October 18th. So in the next couple of days. But we have Grand Theft Auto Vice City, the definitive edition, coming for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. We have Dragon Quest 11S Echoes of an Exclusive Age, the definitive edition, coming for PlayStation 4. We have Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is my favorite Assassin's Creed ever, coming to PlayStation 4. And then we have Dragon Quest Builders coming to PlayStation 4. We have Dragon Quest Builders 2 also coming to PlayStation 4. Dragon Quest Heroes, The World Trees, Woe of the Blight Below coming up to PlayStation 4. Dragon Quest Heroes 2 Explorer Edition coming out to the PlayStation 4. I guess I can stop saying PlayStation 4 since these are all coming out to the PlayStation subscription. But
Mm.
we also have Inside. But some of them are coming only to PlayStation 4 versus PlayStation 5. So I guess I should say that. But we have Inside coming out to the PlayStation 4. We have The Medium coming out to PlayStation 5. We have Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker coming out to PlayStation 4. We have Assassin's Creed Chronicles China coming out to PlayStation 4. That's the mobile edition one that came out prior. We have Assassin's Creed Chronicles India coming out to PlayStation 4, also one of the mobile ones. Assassin's Creed Chronicles Russia coming out to PlayStation 4, another mobile one. We have a ton of Assassin's Creed coming, and we had a ton of Assassin's Creed come out earlier this month. But we have Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered PS4. We're almost done here. Assassin's Creed Syndicate PS4. We have Hohokam coming out to PlayStation 4. And then we have some PlayStation Plus Premium Classics. We have Yakuza 3 Remastered, Yakuza 4 Remastered, Yakuza 5 Remastered, all PlayStation 4. We have Limbo, PS4, Ultra Street Fighter, 4, Castlevania Lord of Shadows, which is a PS3 game, and we have Everyday Shooter, which is a PS3 game, all coming to this service, which I have. And I'm eating. I'm eating right now. I'm man, my lunch is so good. I'm I'm enjoying myself. PlayStation PlayStation Premium has been such a good investment for me. I'm just downloading games left and right. I'm I'm not getting to many of them, but I already had a chance to beat Miles Morales earlier this
Mhm.
year because I didn't pick up that game initially, and then just now I have access to all the Yakuza games. I have access to all the Assassin's Creed games. I have yeah, I have so many games I just available to me. I just all of this. I have the Grand Theft Auto definitive edition. I already had Assassin's Creed, but now, I mean, the medium is there available. I mean, there's just so much to eat, and I'm eating so well. And on my Game Pass, I mean, this is why I got rid of my Game Pass because I wasn't seeing much out of it. I wasn't getting much playtime out of it, so I canceled
Mhm.
it. And this I used that. If you haven't watched previous episodes, I use that workaround where you paid for PlayStation. You paid for place if you already had PlayStation Plus and you paid for 1 year of PlayStation Premium, it automatically raised you to the highest tier for that duration that you for all those years that you purchased PlayStation Plus. So like for me, I stacked PlayStation Plus for like 3-4 years, and then I paid for 1 year of the rate of for PlayStation Premium. But now, since I paid for it for 1 year, I have it now for 4 years, and that was the exploit. So now I get all these games for the next several years, and that exploit's no longer available. Sorry for all of you people that missed out, but
Wow.
I'm eating well, and I'm just wondering, Max. I mean, have you been following PlayStation Premium and PlayStation Extra and what's going on behind the scenes?
You know what? As lovely as this service is, and
Mhm.
initially I thought this was, you know, kind of I didn't expect this to be as good as it was. I didn't. I figured this was an overabundance. I was never, personally speaking, going to be able to benefit from all of these games because I just wouldn't be able to get to them. But the quality of what's coming out is it's simply amazing. I mean, I completely understand why, you know, you're picking this over Game Pass. As great as Game Pass is, like what's coming out here is just so much more enticing. Um, it's still not something that, like, personally I delve into just because I don't have the time. I have a huge backlog, and I don't want to get into the. I get addicted into downloading things sometimes, especially over COVID. I really do.
I do. I do
And
too.
I just get that endorphin rush, and I'm just like, yeah, and then like I don't play it, not for months. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, no, this is definitely making it, I don't know, just that much more sweeter to try at the very
Yeah.
least. I'm starting. In my head, the gears are turning. I'm trying to. The justifications are happening. Like you might see me next episode with a different tier of PlayStation Plus subscription. So stay tuned for that. But we'll see. I might not be brave enough. Um,
Climbing on
some,
the junk. Climbing on the junk right there. Oh,
yep,
sorry.
yep. um, but yeah, I mean, this is a great lineup. Like
Yeah.
the variety of Dragon Quest games that like they've provided, and I mean, we have like a builders game, which is like a Dragon Quest version of Minecraft. We have two Dragon Quest Muso games, and then we have uh, the mainline series Dragon Quest game, which is something that I've been meaning to purchase and pick up and play, but I haven't had the time. And it's definitely always been on my mind. Like, and it's all there. It's all there for, like, you know, whenever I have that time. Assassin's Creed, personally, I mean, I've kind of fallen out of love with it for the most part, but I would try Odyssey.
Sorry.
I'm a big fan of Greek.
I am too.
Um, so yeah, and then all of the amazing, indie titles, Limbo, Inside, Medium looked actually pretty cool.
Mhm.
So like, yeah, it just, I don't know. If you're sitting on the fence like I am, definitely give it a try. I mean, you're not going to get that 4-year exploit that our fine friend Finest has over here, but I still think that if you're somebody who, I think you will get the use out of this that you make. You will,
Yeah.
you make the use that you will get. It's early.
Yeah, no, it is. It's still very early in the morning. So
Mhm.
thank you all for watching. Yeah, the medium specifically came out to medium reviews. Heyo.
Oh.
Um, but yeah, it, it it's it it's really looking good. I mean, the
Mhm.
service is it's been fruitful for what I would say. I mean, I paid like $30 or $40 originally for that particular for the service for the upgrade. Um, so I mean, like it's already paid for itself. Like if I was to pick up Miles Morales and I played Stray, and those are two games that finished on the service. I've already made my money back just with those two games. And it like I probably would not have picked up Stray otherwise. And Miles Morales, I would have waited for a sale. You know, it's already been discounted, but
Yeah.
I would have waited some time before I picked up the game. So I mean, I would have spent at least $30.
Mhm.
I would have spent at least the amount that it would have paid me to upgrade to this service. So, being a little PlayStation fanboy that I am right now, I'm just gonna say it's been totally worth it for me. I would say if you're even on the fence, if you think you're going to spend like $30 on older games, because you're not going to get your first party games on this service, at least as we know of right now, then I think it's worth it for you. But to each their own, and I
Mhm.
cannot recommend the service enough because my experience has been nothing but amazing. And you can download most of your games. So you're not having to worry about streaming a lot of your games off the cloud. Some games are only cloud based, but for the most part, like they're the bigger games, and a ton of the smaller ones they're available for download also.
Mhm.
Let's see. Was there any last notes before we jumped off to our next segment?
Yeah. So before you hop to the next one, why don't you uh, provide us a break with a subscriber update or a subscriber
Oh yeah.
reminder? And while you do
Yeah.
that, I'm actually going to use the washroom because let me tell you, big cup of coffee can run right through you in the morning. So if you don't mind, I'll be right
No,
back, everybody.
that is totally fine. I will keep the videos going, and we'll see you in another moment. But for those of you watching, though, for even if you're watching today, or if you jump in this video several months later, yeah, join us and by liking and subscribing the show. I mean, essentially, you guys keep the lights on, and we cannot keep this show going without you. So we'd like it if you just take a moment, pause, hit those buttons down below and like and subscribe, and yeah, it'd be much appreciated. Other than that, we're actually going to keep the show rolling. We know Max will be back eventually, but we want to talk games, and we know you want to hear games. So this is a story that's too big right here, but um PlayStation Studios Malaysia is working and supporting all of Sony's first party studios. So Sony's freshly minted new team, which is a support team, PlayStation Studios Malaysia, they recently moved into a new office in Kuala Lumpur, and they're working on some top secret PS5 projects. They're a small team, a relatively small team. There's 77 employees. They're looking on expanding, and growing, and they are doing that. But this team has assisted in games and first party games like MLB The Show, and The Last of Us Part One, um, and yeah, they've contributed quite a bit, and their role only continues to grow. Um, let's see. So a little quote from the team, end quote. When we started, the team was very small. Boss Hansnul Hadi Sam Sudin, pardon me for any mispronunciation there, told an audience at a conference in Malaysia, as reported. Let me go ahead and disconnect that real quickly. Um, let's see. They told, as reported by IGN, a lot of what we're doing is asset development for games, especially for MLB The Show. But now we have a full fledged art team. So we can do environment modeling, concept art, and we have a brilliant animation team that is working on some games that we can't talk about right now. Yeah, so I mean, this is absolutely amazing. I know Microsoft has actually purchased some of what we would call Sony support studios, along with Embracer Group purchasing some of Sony's first party, or not first party, but support studios that were lending in Sony's projects. So it's wonderful that Sony's really thinking future forwardly, and they are building teams from the ground up to make sure that every studio is being supported in the ways that they need to get these wonderful first party games out as quickly and as effectively as possible. But really, no game or no studio is, or actually, no game is just a one party studio now. Like every game is very much a multi studio project, and that's very much reflected here. Max, welcome back. Do you need a refresher, or do you know what I'm currently talking about? PlayStation Studios Malaysia is
Yeah.
is working as a source studio. Yep.
No, and that's wonderful. And I feel like this really is going to tie in well with when we get to our main topic for sure. But it is, like you said, it's amazing to see just the support and the amount of people that, PlayStation Studios is, investing their time and investing, their care into. And when a company cares, like we feel that for sure. And when they care about games the way that we care about games, I mean, they make them, of course. They have to care, but still, it's beautiful to see. Out of, I don't know, all of the studios, all of the um, game players on the market, I'll say, like PlayStation continues to hold my confidence, and this is just another reason why. And what the group is currently 77 employees and like
Hmm.
growing. That's unbelievable. That's great. Creating lots of jobs, and like I don't know, can't sing its praises enough. I really can't. So I look forward to seeing just more of this growth, and I also look forward to seeing um, that care and that multiple teams, their products, the things that they provide, the things that they worked on, the art that they craft. I'm really looking forward to it. So
Yeah, yeah. Same here.
yeah,
I mean,
PlayStation.
if they do their due diligence, I guarantee that they'll be working on their own game soon enough.
Mhm.
And I think that's the bigger picture. Sony will have essentially, potentially, as they build this team up, they will have another first party
Mhm.
studio under their belts. So here's to the studio in Malaysia. And yeah, I can't wait for that to happen. But in our regards to our next studio, when talking about first party games, you do not get any more first party than this game right here. We have the official God of War Ragnarok PS5 bundle that has been announced. So you don't have to worry. This bundle is coming day and date with the release of God of War Ragnarok. And if you were looking to buy a PS5 console, this may be the best way to do it. No price tag has been announced with this bundle. Actually, yeah, no price tag has been announced with this bundle. But this game is cross-platform for PS4 and PS5, but only the PlayStation 5 version will be getting the built-in bundle. So you can expect a God of War Ragnarok code that comes with the console. Yeah, Max, I mean, I'm excited about this. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not in the market for a PS5 right now because I'm a person that I've already explained my stance on PlayStation, the PlayStation 5. I think it's a console that can be better iterated on, and we've seen that. PlayStation has they put a new processor in the PlayStation 5. They've decreased the weight of the PlayStation 5. We're already on our third SKU, technically, of the PlayStation 5 as they continue to iterate upon it. And a new PlayStation 5 is going to come out. It's going to be not only lighter than it is now because they've already reduced the weight. It's going to be slimmer, and hopefully they do while you can purchase the plates for the PlayStation 5, hopefully they do a custom edition, because that's what I'm waiting for. I'm
Mhm.
waiting for that slimmer, lighter, faster, stronger, more memory version with the custom faceplates PlayStation 5. But I feel like this is a good sign for the market because if they're able to do pack-ins, that means the PlayStation 5 is more readily available. And actually, just speaking to that, there's actually a news article that I didn't pull this week because I really didn't want to talk numbers. I just wanted to talk about games.
Mhm.
PlayStation sales have increased 400%.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, right now, and this is for the entire world. Right now, you're more likely to be able to purchase a PS5. So if you're interested in purchasing a PS5, please write in the comments. We want to hear from you. But yeah, Max. I mean, just anything that I spoke to, really. Are you a fan of like the old PlayStation 5, like custom or not PlayStation 5, but PlayStation custom console editions? What do you think about the faceplates, or just pack-ins, like game pack-ins? Um, any of those aspects or any other things that you wanted to speak to? I'd
All
love
of
to
this,
hear your
yeah.
thoughts. Yeah.
Like Pack-ins are amazing. Pack-ins were like a lot of that is what I grew up with. Like when I purchased my very first console, it was an Xbox 360, and it was with my own money, and it was a pack-in. It was Forza 2, which I just explained that I didn't play much, and NHL oh, oh 08, I believe. I also didn't play
Mhm.
that. That's not the point. Point is, you have that amazing option to like, we have a God of War one. God of War is like one of the most anticipated games coming out in the next like little bit, and like being able to get that. And if you don't have a PS5, being able to experience that and your first PS5 is wonderful. And one thing I love about this too is it's the PS5 with the disc attachment. It's not the PS5 that's the digital edition. They could have easily just done that.
Mhm.
Uh, but what I love is that they're forward thinking. People still have discs. Most people, I believe, purchase a PS5 with that disc tray because they have that backwards compatibility. They don't want to miss out. And that's, it's a small detail, but it's one that I very much appreciate. So good on you, PlayStation, for that, for sure. The faceplates of the PlayStation 5, I remember when that initially dropped, like, I think I talked about this before, but like, you could, like, people were taking the faceplates off and they were like plasti dipping them. They were
Yep.
customizing their own.
Yep.
And you got some crazy stuff. You got like some Bloodborne themed PlayStation 5s. You had like um, the red with the white Spider-Man logo for the
Oh yeah,
Spider-Man.
they did the PlayStation 4 version, but yeah, they did it for the
Yeah,
PS5 with the PlayStation 5 plates. Yep.
and they did it
Mhm.
themselves. And
Yep.
like, there's just the creativity was there, and I don't think that PlayStation necessarily intended for that to be the case. But I mean, happy accident, right?
Mhm.
But also having like just um, yeah, those like, if PlayStation like wants to step up and do um, more of what they had done in the past. Like the Battlefront PlayStation 4, I remember had like you could purchase it and it had a Darth Vader on it, and it was like really sweet. Or like you said, like the Spider-Man PS4, like the special editions of those are just so nice. Those crafted exclusive consoles.
Mhm.
Um, as an aside, though, they could also make a PS like a how do I describe this, like a creative, no, a like with customization, like personal customization in mind, like
Mhm. Oh yeah, yeah,
kind
yeah.
of where like in terms of like I understand that we can take the faceplates off now and we can totally customize them, but
Mhm.
what if PlayStation made it so like your faceplates, you could draw on them,
Yeah,
and you could like
and they'll
make
custom
them.
print them. Yeah.
Yeah, custom print them, and like you could erase it if you didn't want that, or you could do something like that. And then like it as like a, I don't know, like a bonus accessory, they'll provide you with like stencils, or they'll
Yep.
provide you with I don't know, PlayStation art supplies,
Yeah.
and
PlayStation's
you
too Japanese. That'll never happen.
oh,
Well, I don't know, never, but I spoke to this a couple episodes back, but like Microsoft has their custom controllers,
yeah,
and I was like very much like, why doesn't Microsoft, like? There's obviously a market for that. They've been doing the custom controllers for a very long time. Why don't they take that a step further and allow me to customize my Xbox along with my controller?
mhm,
And then they could charge a premium for the Xboxes, and then also give me my custom controller, and then like I pay $750 or whatever that may be,
mhm,
which would be flipping amazing. But just the logistics behind that, and
yeah,
building the factory in order to do that, we know that's not going to happen either. But there's always skins available for you also. But real quick question before we jump topics, because I don't even think we're gonna have time to get to our main topic today,
oh,
just because we have so much going on and we're already almost 2 hours into this episode. So thank you all for sticking with us. But what do you think we're gonna see PlayStation consoles? What do we think what number we're gonna see those consoles at after the or at the end of this year, like January 1st? What do you think that number is gonna be at? I In regards to the last numbers that we heard, PlayStation was approximately around between 13 to 14 million.
14. Okay, I would say And I'm not a consumer reporter over here, but
Yeah.
like I could see this being like
I'm sorry, I lied. They're actually around 20 million. I
20
apologize.
million. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they're actually around 20 million. Yeah.
Well, if it's sitting at 20 million now, I'm going to be safe and I'm going to say, uh, I'm not going to say it's double, but maybe like 1.5 times uh, greater than the
What's a
price that
number?
it's.
What's a number?
Oh God, um, 35, 35,000, 35 million,
35 million. Okay.
35 million. I'm saying it
Okay.
right now. I'm calling it.
So, all right, here we go. You heard it here first on the Game Watch podcast. I would give a little bit more conservative number. I'll say 27 million.
27.
Is
Okay.
27 million. Yeah. I think they'll pump through between now and the end of the year. I think we'll see those numbers shoot up a bit. But yeah, in regards to the millions, Overwatch 2 has reached 25 million players regardless of all the issues that they've been suffering on their end. So I definitely
Yeah.
know there's some Overwatch fans out there in our audience. But following like just a bumpy launch, I think bumpy may be a understatement. Overwatch 2 has like seen frequent server trouble, bloated player queues, so many DDoS attacks. But
A couple
despite all
characters are
that,
missing.
couple characters are missing. They have to take out characters. Characters are broken within the game. Blizzard has announced that over 25 million 25 million Overwatch 2 players have logged in within the first 10 days. So that is nearly 3 times the amount of players per day as the previous daily peak for the original Overwatch. I mean, normally like the number isn't too surprising, especially for like a major free to play shooter, but Overwatch is it's its own thing. It's like in its own realm. And yeah, I mean, Overwatch, like I've been hearing a lot of criticism about it, and the biggest criticism of all is you literally see Overwatch like one assets in Overwatch 2. Like the boot up screen, like you
Yeah.
are going into you are going to Overwatch 2, and they're showing like original boot up screens from original Overwatch. So for many people, I mean, it's so confusing because ultimately it seems to just like a big expansion, and you know, it's you can take all your skins from the original Overwatch onto Overwatch 2.
Mhm.
They've added two-factor verification, which has been a total mess.
Yes.
Which has locked a ton of people out. And then yeah, like as you mentioned a moment ago, you can't play, at least for people that are like starting a new character or a new account, you can't play all the characters that you already unlocked. You have to unlock all the new heroes again, which takes over 100 matches. Um, so I'm gonna kind of end it right here. But they're putting out an update in December that is gonna fix a lot of this, but you still have to wait till December. We don't know exactly what that update's gonna entail in terms of like fixes and things of that nature. Max, I could see on your face. I can see your mind brewing. What do you what do you feel about Overwatch 2 and its semi successful launch thus far?
Pain. Pain. That's how I feel. Overwatch when it dropped, like I don't know, May 2016 was like just amazing. Like, and you know what? Like, I don't even know where to begin. The characters you're telling me you have to unlock characters? I didn't even know about this. When characters in Overwatch, when you in the original Overwatch, when they drop new characters, you just had them.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. And you didn't have to pay for anything. You didn't have to everything that was like paid for was cosmetic and you could unlock all of it on your own anyway. So it didn't really there was no like necessary need for that. But you're telling me that I have to spend the most important currency in the world, my time, into unlocking characters that I've already unlocked that were originally free? That's ridiculous. You want my phone number so that I can play online? That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. That's
Sorry, Cricket
unbelievable.
users. Yep.
Um, and like, yeah, they just. I mean, okay, so I watch this. I watch a YouTuber, Video Game Donkey, and he's
Yeah.
like, he is summarized this pretty well in a recent video, but he said he's called it. It's just like if Overwatch 2 is just a couple new characters and a few new maps, like I'm gonna be pretty disappointed. And like it's that, but it also doesn't work. Like it just like
So
why
many
does it
missteps. Yeah.
so many missteps. And at this point, it's just like, why was there ever a need for an Overwatch 2? Like up until this point, like Overwatch has been, okay, so 2016, that's 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. That's 6 years with no, like the only complaints were just like things that you could just build upon. Like I look at games like Destiny, and I know you love Destiny, and I look at Destiny 2.
Oh.
Personally speaking, did you ever see a need for a Destiny 2? Or do you think they could have just taken what they've done with Destiny 2 and just kept it all one game?
Did you mean Destiny 1? And
I'm sorry,
then,
yes, Destiny
yeah, okay.
1. Was there a need for like a separate Destiny 2? Or could Destiny 2 just have been a free update? Or
I think in terms of Destiny specifically, I think there was a need for a Destiny 2.
you think so? Okay.
Just for the reason, I mean, because I followed like Destiny like very closely, like for a very very long time, and every time, and still even to this day, every time a Destiny 2 DLC or expansion is dropped, there's so much rebalancing, there's so many issues and things of that nature. So when we were experiencing Destiny 1, and you kind of saw the limitations in terms of the gameplay and what they
Mm,
can do. But with Destiny 2, you saw I mean, Bungie said it straight out. They're like, hey, we need a new engine in order to run this game more efficiently so we can bring you the content that we want to bring you. I don't know if that's the case for Overwatch 2, but I mean, in regards to the reason why I think Overwatch 2 very much exists now, and the reason why it came out is because I think they saw, in terms of the long term, I think they saw the season pass model, and what Fortnite was doing, what Destiny 2 does, and just so many other games. I think they saw that more viable in terms of money, and I don't think they could have justified it if they would have been like, "Oh, we're restructuring all of Overwatch 1. Here we're to go. We're going free to play. Here you go. We're revamping everything. And now we're doing season pass models to
mm.
where you got to pay $10 a month. So I think that was their only justification in terms of making this a a a new a new game versus versus an expansion. But I mean, I totally could be wrong. I'm just hypothesizing over here. But that would be my guess into the reason why they made this a thing. So yeah, I don't know. It's just sad to see, yeah, that we've seen so many years pass by. They spent so much time on revamping this and restructuring it to only see that it's kind of more of the same. I think in the long term, I think they have a lot of plans and a lot of things set up. I think they did prepare for the future. So we will eventually see those things come to fruition, but they can't pump out all their content at once. They're very much going to pace it out and slowly get it out there. But yeah, other than that, yeah, and we totally hear that ocean noise, but
It's cold in Canada. It's a
yeah.
fan. I'm sorry about that, everybody. It's quieting down now.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, was there any last notes that you wanted to mention about Overwatch? We have about 4 stories to go through. We're not going to reach our main topic today, and then we will go to the release rundown.
There isn't time. You know what? There really isn't time for me to just sit here on a soapbox and complain about
Yeah.
like just all of it.
Hmm.
Um, I care about Overwatch. I had a lot of fun with it, but yeah, you'll hear it interspersed next time I'm on. So don't worry,
Yeah.
it'll be around.
It doesn't seem like they're suffering too much with 25 million players. So
No, exactly. So
yeah. All right. And this one is near and dear to one of our other hosts. So the first major Saints Row update promises over 200 that's not a typo. Over 200 bug fixes. If you've been following Saints Row, it kind of released in a state that was less than enticing, very much like Overwatch. So this is very much a similar story in that respect. But the studio said in a blog post that while it hoped to be talking about releasing fresh content for the game at this stage, its development priority is delivering improvements over new features following the disappointing launch. So at VGC, Saints Row Review, it labeled the August series reboot to be buggy, a dull mess, and Volition. Um, yeah, Volition is just, they said that the game isn't, they haven't been impressed by the game's launch also. And quote, personally, and this is I'm sorry, from Lars Wingefors, the CEO of Volition and owner of Embracer Group. He recently said that he was disappointed by the reception of Saints Row. And he said, personally, I had hoped for a greater reception to this game, he said. It's been very polarizing. There are a lot of things that could be said in detail about it, but I'm one I'm with one happy hand to see lots of gamers and fans happy, and at the same time I am a bit sad also to see fans not happy. So it's difficult, which is very much a PR, very much a PR type of statement. It almost seems a little tone deaf in terms of like the amount of issues that this game has. And this is in the wake of Cyberpunk. This is a post Cyberpunk era. So the fact that this game is released with this many issues is really daunting. Um, and I know for Too Tall for Youthful, aka Justin Reed, or vice versa, Justin Reed, aka Too Tall for Youthful. I know this was a day one pickup for him, and he abstained from picking up the game because of its disappointing launch. Max, I mean, do you have any feelings or thoughts about 200 bug fixes or just Saints Row as a whole?
Wow, you know what? It's really making me feel like the game wasn't finished. Like 200 bug fixes. Now, when I think of Cyberpunk and I think about the phoenix it has become, rising from the ashes, will we get that with Saints Row? I'm not 100% sure. When I think of Cyberpunk, it was a brand new, like, it was groundbreaking, and the hype behind it was astronomical. And I think that is also something that has allowed people to stick with it. Apart from all of the other factors as well, like the voice acting and the world building and everything like that, that's kind of a part of it. With Saints Row, we've played Saints Row for years. We know what to expect. What ground? Like, it's not. It doesn't have to break ground, but if I'm looking at, like, as a comparison, it might be harder for this to come back in the same kind of vein and bring back, you know, bring back a ton of people. Like the hardcore, the diehard fans, I think will definitely come back. I think
Mm-hmm.
those who had a ton of fun with the game definitely come back. People who have been interested in Saints Row going to give it a try, and I hope that this works out. I hope that after the bug fixes, it's akin to more of what they wanted it to look like upon release. Um, but we'll just have to really wait and see. I mean, I don't know. The It's a little unfair to compare it to Cyberpunk. It's completely different. Other than the fact that both of them had messy launches, and lots of games
Right.
have messy launches. So,
But why do games have messy launches?
well,
Why are we receiving games that that you know that are obviously broken, that are obviously there's obviously things that need to be fixed. I mean, we should be past the age of where like game companies are like, oh, we can fix it on the back end. Like we'll get to it like,
Yeah,
because as they said in this article, they said that they would love to be focusing on new content. But there's so many issues with the game that they can't even worry about releasing post content because they have to spend almost a year. We don't even know when we're getting the new content. It might
yeah,
be over a year. I mean, Cyberpunk spent it was like 8 years in development from announcement,
yeah,
and then released, and then spent a year correcting all its mistakes and delayed all its content also. So why are we receiving games in such a broken state that they can't even follow their own release schedules, or that they like? I don't think it's that. I think it's honestly, I think it's apples to apples. Like I don't see a big difference here. I think the only like difference is like um as you spoke to earlier, like I don't think Saints Row is going to be able to recover from this in the way that Cyberpunk did. I mean, Cyberpunk still sold gangbangers despite the
mhm,
reviews because your average public is following the hype train. They're not necessarily like looking at reviews and looking at all this stuff. They're like all
yeah.
this like I'm picking up this day one. Everyone's talking about it. It's supposed to be like the next revolution. I'm gonna pick it up. You don't hear that with Saints Row.
Exactly. So let me ask you this: what's more powerful,
Mhm.
hype or nostalgia?
I you know what I don't believe either one of those are the
Mhm.
most powerful. I think having a reputable just brand in terms of like what you release is more powerful than anything. And I think CD Projekt Red had that.
Okay.
I don't think Volition had that. And I think CD Projekt Red really soured that. So do I think the next Witcher game or the next Cyberpunk game or the next whatever they release is gonna sell gangbangers day one? No, I think there's gonna be a lot more trepidation as people approach those games, and they're gonna wait. They're gonna wait for reviews because yeah, burn me once, shame on me. Like But am I gonna let you burn me twice? Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, I think that in hindsight, we definitely having a cyberpunk release, having a cyberpunk event, and by that I mean completely botched, wasn't what was promised, and just was a complete mess. I think that was, in hindsight, very good because it gets us to ask those questions. It allows us to be more critical of a lot of these studios and like the maybe not like the involvement, the over involvement of um, not the developers but the studios themselves, like EA and like or like any of these people that like push these games out just to meet holiday season, just to meet, get those numbers, and they're not ready, and the developers know they're not ready, but they don't necessarily get that say, and then they're handing in their homework unfinished to the teacher, and then the teacher sends it back and asks you to do it again, except in this case that's going to take, like you said, over a year potentially.
Mhm.
So like it's it's allowed us to, it's a double-edged sword. It allowed us to ask a lot of questions and be critical and have that critical eye a lot more, because nobody wants to have a cyberpunk launch. that's
Yeah.
that's a vernacular now.
Yeah.
So I mean, give and take, I suppose. It sucks that it happened, but
Yeah. So when Too Tall comes back next week, we'll have to ask him if he's going to pick up this game post all the bug fixes that they release in their updates.
yeah.
Beyond that, we're going to go ahead and skip some of these lesser topics because we are just having too much fun in this episode. We are we are 2 hours plus in, and you are still with us. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing to the show. And if you haven't yet, please do that below. But other than that, I mean, we're gonna go ahead and jump to this topic right here. I mean, I don't think there's too much that needs to be said here, but Scorn has been released to the masses, and this is Xbox's like newest big third party game that has released on Game Pass. All that said, it's released to a mild review. So pardon me. Yeah, as you see here, the Metacritic is only a little above average. This is only 4 reviews at this time, but we're seeing very much a similar sentiment around this game.
Mm.
Um, and there's actually an interesting interview that's on IGN from one of the lead artists, he could have another title, so forgive me for not doing the exact title. But there's an interesting article on IGN where they talk to one of the lead artists from Scorn, and they answer questions and just talk about the game and what the accomplishment was and the involvement that Microsoft had. And very much what I perceived from the article was, or that interview, was that Microsoft had a pretty heavy hand in the development of the game and supporting them and providing marketing and so forth. So I almost feel like this is like almost a No Man's Sky situation. There was quite a bit of hype behind this game. And we're just not seeing the way that Microsoft is, really portrayed this game is like this is like a big Microsoft game coming to Xbox Game Pass. So you should get Xbox Game Pass to play this game. Other than that, the reviews are kind of speaking otherwise. And the reason why I compare that to No Man's Sky is because No Man's Sky backed Hello Games, and really marketed that game, so much so that there was so much hype around the game that when it released and it wasn't what it was expected to be based on the marketing materials and based on everything that was being said, it was people tore it apart. Reviews tore it apart. And I'm kind of feeling like that with this game right here. The one good thing about this game, I don't want to just sit here and bash on Scorn. The one good thing that I am hearing about the game, the art direction, the art is absolutely just unheard of. It's so gorgeous. It is beautiful. They did not have a lot of references in terms of the games, for the games, like to develop a lot of the assets. So they had to really take that just that look of we've mentioned it before, but I say Geiger, you say Giger, is that right? It is. Everyone says Giger. I say Geiger. I'm gonna keep on saying it. I hate me if you want to. But they've really taken that surrealism art form and incorporated just in every aspect of this game. And there's actually a lot more puzzles in the game than you would expect. But it still has that grotesque framework and style. All that said, I think from my understanding, the way we talked about it in the past, Max, it seemed like you were like relatively excited about this game. How do you feel? What do you think about this release thus far?
You know what? I don't know. I don't see this. I don't see these numbers 71. I don't see this as bad. I
Yeah.
see this as something that I would pick up and play once it price drops, and I could see myself having a good time with it because clearly people do.
Mhm.
Whether that's through the gameplay or through like the puzzles or just the art direction alone. Or like I would absolutely give this a go, and I don't see this as really a loss. I don't really see this as a failure. I see this as potentially something that has to kind of grow on people. Um, our friend Matt Bliss in the Discord, he mentioned something I kind of agree with as well. Is this could potentially be misunderstood but secretly brilliant, and much like No Man's Sky, massive resurgence there as well. Just to kind of connect it to what you were discussing, but I'd still give this a go. I'd still see this as a nice, as like a Halloween play. Like I'm definitely interested, and I will make my own judgments. I think, just to take a, you know, just to kind of like come at it from like a objective standpoint. I want to make my own decisions with this one because I was excited, and this is really up my alley. And I don't know, 71, it's good enough for me.
Absolutely. My thing is and I don't want to just drill on this too long, but it's just like just with the backing of without the backing of Microsoft, without Microsoft's help, without giving them the time and the funds to develop this game, what would this game what state would this game have launched in?
Mhm.
Would they have been able to finish, or provide the game that they even provided here? And in Microsoft backing and marketing a game, I think it's in Microsoft's favor to really make sure that they are releasing a game in its best state,
Mhm.
and that may not like necessarily be providing like overseeing the project because the studio is a third party studio, but really lending itself in like maybe testers, to QA the game and just really like say like, well, I think you can do this better, I think you can do this better, and improving the game so whenever it does release on Game Pass, it gives you a reason to continue using Game Pass or to buy Game Pass, or just that represents Microsoft in the best light. Because when you see this, you think of Microsoft because it is not on Sony consoles.
Mhm.
And when you see this, it does not represent Microsoft in the best light. And it kind
Yeah.
of gives the same sentiment in terms of like Microsoft doesn't have games, or at least bangers like Sony. So why would I go buy an Xbox console if I'm going to get, if I had to, if we're talking about grades here, if I have to give it like a C minus, game versus like a or A plus game, like, that Sony consistently seems to be putting out. So I just want better for Microsoft. I want them
Okay.
to really just develop on the things that they're doing. So Microsoft, if you're listening, uh there you go, there goes some advice, some marketing advice from the Game and Watch podcast. All right, and for our last topic before we jump into the release rundown, let's see. So Elden Ring has released a patch. It is patch 1.07, and in this patch, we see mages get a little bit of a buff. And I know I'm a mage build, but I haven't been playing the game much. But I know Max right here has recently just started, or not, maybe not recently, but you started a mage build, and you are experiencing that life of things. There's also, I mean, rebalances and abilities, PvP, damage, and more. Max, I mean, I as much as I want to be the Elden Ring expert, how do you feel? How do you feel about these balances and what you've experienced so far versus previously playing Elden Ring before these buffs and changes?
Well, prior to these massive buffs to all my spells, mages were already OP. So it's um it's kind
Were they?
of
Okay.
it's kind of ridiculous chaos, but I love it. Um yeah, no, this was I'm about halfway through my second playthrough. I'm playing as specifically high dexterity, high intelligence build. So I use a lot of katanas, a lot of dex weapons, and a ton of magic, which has been incredibly beneficial from this update. I yeah, I just sit back and I just launch glintstone sorceries at people, and they just melt away. Like, okay, so it was already broken with like carrion glintstone blade. It's just like a basic like magic sword that that like you can summon, and like it just melts even more. A lot of the patch notes kind of provide a lot of PvP. A lot of it was PvP fixes and changes to a lot of great swords, a lot of specific like spells and incantations that were just disgustingly monstrous, and now they're significantly weaker. Just to balance that out. Um, a lot of people online are complaining about crouch poking being nerfed, which was something that you could do with a specific spear in the game. That,
Hmm.
as far as I know, I believe it just kind of stun locked you into some bullshit. So
Yeah.
that was a big change. And then one of the other biggest changes I've noticed, which another benefit for me, is your poise went up. So for those of you uninitiated, poise is a stat number that when you wear heavier armor, um, it increases your poise. So when you get hit and you don't react to it, you just keep doing what you're doing, like you're in the middle of an attack. Poise allows you to continue attacking. So like you'll take the damage, but it won't interrupt you.
Okay.
Low poise, you just
Yeah.
like you take a swing and someone hits you first, and you're like, ugh. Um, so
Yeah.
being a mage, I'm not exactly the biggest, you know, damage taker. So elevating my poise, very nice. So I'm enjoying it.
Amazing, amazing. And I mean, yeah, there's a whole bunch of I mean, updates right here that I'm sure you're gonna dive into that I might get to someday as I crawl through Elden Ring. Um, but yeah, please go check out the patch notes for 1.07, and we're gonna continue on. And we are going to once again skip our main topic for the second week in a row because I don't know how to host a show. I just keep on talking. I just love talking. But other than that, I mean, we're gonna go ahead and do the release rundown. And Max, I'm gonna let you take this one. Please take it away
First,
whenever you're ready, sir.
first release rundown. All right. Welcome to Release Rundown, where the points don't matter and everybody has fun. All right. Number one, we have A Plague Tale Requiem for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC, and that is coming out October 18th. Next up, we have Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, October 18th. Them's Fightin' Herds across all the platforms I've just mentioned. That's coming out October 18th. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection for the PC. That's coming out October 19th. Batora Lost Haven, excuse me. That's coming out across all major platforms on October 20th. Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope coming to the Switch October 20th. Second Extinction coming to Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PC, coming October 20th. The Jackbox Party Pack number 9, that's coming to all platforms, including iOS and Android, and that's October 20th. One game I'm particularly excited for is the Vampire Survivors coming to PC October 20th. New Tales from the Borderlands, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S,
Hold on.
PlayStation. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold that thought 1 second. No, no, you're totally fine. My internet's dipping right now, so
Oh, I
I'm
see.
just trying to catch up. Let's see. Come on, internet. This is the fun you get in hosting a podcast, and of course, it does it at the end of the show. Let's see. Okay, there we go. We got Borderlands. Let's see. Let's go ahead and switch that up.
Nice.
And there we go. All right, please continue.
So yeah, Borderlands will be coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, October 21st. Finally, Persona 5 Royal, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, and PC for October 21st.
Amazing. Thank you so much. As my computer still tries to load that image, Max, is there anything here as we close out the episode that you're particularly excited for, or anything that you want to recommend for our audience to play?
I recommend the Vampire Survivors, which it's like $2.99 on Steam. It's just a very simple looking game. It doesn't. It really just. It looks like a student made it, which is probably true. And it's just all you have to do is you have WAS and D. You move around, and you just kill hordes and hordes of enemies. And then occasionally you level up, and then you get to pick a new perk, and then you just keep going. You just keep going, and it's just super addictive. I can't sing its praises enough. Definitely go check out some videos of it on YouTube. It's a bit of a turnoff to start because it just looks a little old, or I don't know, not what we're used to for video games, but it is addicting fun. Definitely check it out.
Amazing. And I mean, other than that, I would say Ghostbusters Unleash is one that I would recommend. Um, if you're into that like 4v1, pardon me, if you're into that 4v1 gameplay, I think that is a great option. It's made from Elphonic, and if you played any of Elphonic games, like they also did like Predator Hunting Grounds. So like very much that 4v1, you're the four Ghostbusters, you're hunting a ghost. I think is absolutely incredible. Let's see. Other than that, Persona 5 Royale, of course, is right there available to you. I think the game that I would actually play the most out of all these games is Jackbox Party Pack 9. I play so much Jackbox. I play it for work, not for work, but like we like host events like during work, and we're like, oh, let's all jump into a Jackbox game. Every time I have people over, if like I have the TV on, if I'm not playing music from the TV, Jackbox is on, because it's a game that everyone could just jump on their cell phones and then we could all play together. So I think that is an absolute great game for anyone to jump in. I'm curious to see how Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hopes does, just because the first Mario versus Rabbids games, with it being like an XCOM type of game, it did fairly well with the first one. So I'm curious to see what the reception will be for this one in particular. And then I already know Matt Bliss and maybe a couple other people on our Discord are going to jump into a Plague Tale Requiem. So curious to see how that one does also. I've heard a little bit mixed reviews about a Plague's Tale, the first one. But this one looks like it got like a pretty significant graphical overhaul, in addition to continuing that story. So I mean, those are my games that I would say go check out. But yeah. Oh, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna mention one more just because Second Extinction. I've actually referenced this game previously, but it's almost like it's like the new Dino Crisis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it's not third person. There's no story to it really. Like, but if you like running and gunning like Doom style, like fast paced action and just hunting dinosaurs, this is the game. I've heard so many good things about this game. They've only released consistent updates for it, so it's only gotten better. But it's so much fun. So Second Extinction is great. I know Capcom is releasing a dinosaur game in the near future. I already forget the name of it, but this is honestly the best dinosaur game that I've seen in multiple years. So yeah, definitely go check that game out if you have opportunity. But other than that, we actually have no chat room comments today, so we can go ahead and close out the episode. Max, is there anything you want to plug before before we end the show?
Yeah, if you haven't already checked out, like I said at the beginning of the episode, myself and the lovely Finest Dabs over here did an episode on my podcast, the Loading Bar Podcast, where... What?
Oh no, I was just pointing to myself. You're fine. Because
I
you
got
were
a little
saying
panic there. I was just like, oh, you
you're
can't hear
saying the
me.
lovely me. No, sorry,
Yes.
didn't mean to scare you.
That's okay. It's good to check every now and then. But yeah, go check that out. We have some fun, and we talk about bar stories, video games from our past, childhood memories, and how I almost died in the woods. So definitely check that out. And yeah, and stay tuned for my Halloween special. Other than that, that's all I got.
I love it. And if you've made it this far, if you come this far in the journey and you have not liked and subscribed this show yet, we have even more beef. We need to talk. So you can email me at gamewatchpodcast.com and we'll talk about that. But in the meantime, go ahead and just like and subscribe so we don't have to have that conversation. Max, thank you so much for waking up at the break of dawn with me as I just crawl my way through this episode. Wouldn't have it any other way. I appreciate you so much. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and tune in next week to episode 109 of the Game & Watch podcast. And let's get out of here. Peace out, y'all.